Welcome to today's Bible study as we continue through the book of Job. So far, we have seen Job's unimaginable suffering, losing his wealth, his children, and his health. Yet, through it all, he refused to curse God. But in Job 3, we'll see something different. Job's raw, unfiltered emotions. This chapter is a deep sorrow and wrestling with darkness of parts of suffering. If you ever wondered where it's okay to bring your pain to God, Job has something powerful to say. Let's dive in. The silence of Job's friends has stretched out for 7 days, 7 long of sitting in dust while watching their friends suffer, waiting for him to speak. And finally, Job does. But his words are not as we expected. He doesn't praise. He doesn't thank God for his trials. He doesn't even ask why. Instead, he curses the day he was born. May the day of my birth perish, and the night that said, a boy is conceived. May the day turn to darkness. May God above not care about it. Job isn't cursing God, but he's questioning why he was ever born. His suffering has become so unbearable that he wishes that he had never existed. He continues, why do I not perish at birth and die as I came from the womb? For now I would be lying down in peace. I would be asleep and rest. This man who has reached his breaking point, the righteous, faithful Job, who once worshipped even in loss, now sits in the ashes of his life, asking questions as many of us have whispered in our own minds in our darkest moments. Why? Job lament the depth of his pain. Job's words are not calculated or polished. They are raw. This is a language of a man debating theology. This is a language of a man drowning in sorrow. His lament builds. Why is my life given to those who suffer, to those who long for death that does not come? For sighing has become my daily food. My groans pour out like water. Job is not just grieving, he is crushed beneath the weight of his suffering. The worst thing he had ever feared has come true, and he has left feeling abandoned, alone, and without answer. So today, in Job 3, is one of the most honest, gut-wrenching passages in the Bible. It forces us to ask, can faithful believers question life? And can we cry out in suffering? The answer is yes. God does not rebuke Job for his lament. He doesn't strike him down for his grief. Instead, Job's words are perceived in Scripture as a testimony to reality of suffering. If you ever felt like Job, wrestling with sorrow, struggle to understand why pain exists, this chapter reminds us that God can handle our deepest grief. Job doesn't turn away from God, but he is honest with him. And that's the key. Faith does not mean to suppress our emotions. It means to bring them to God even when all we have are questions. Are you in season of sorrow? Are you holding back your pain, afraid that you might mean you lack faith? Job reminds us that the lament is part of the human experience, and it is part of faith. It is not weakness to cry out to God. It is not rebellion to ask why. The Psalms are filled with lament, and even Jesus cried out on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Today, I encourage you, be honest with God. Pour out your heart. He is not afraid of your sorrow. He has not abandoned you in it. If this message has spoken to you, share it with someone who is struggling and let them commit to walking through both joy and sorrow with faith that is real, raw, and honest. Thank you for joining me in today's Bible study. Remember, grief is not a sign of weakness or weak in faith. It is a part of the journey. God sees your pain, and he invites you to bring him in it. So, stay hopeful, stay honest, and I'll see you next time as we continue through the journey through the book of Job. God bless.